Stay back there.
Yep.
I'll meet you in the parking lot. Iowans? No. No one will admit that they're an Iowan. Very curious. Dakotans? Anyone from the Dakotas? Is it funny the idea that someone would exist from the Dakotas even? They're there, man. I was at Dickinson State last night, and there's at least 7 of them that I met. Not a poetry crowd. How about international students? All right. West Coasters? Nice, my people. Illinois? Alright. Now I'm gonna stop now, because this is... Should have stopped at Wisconsin. All you need to know. Let's see, time left. Guys, I got time for a few more, and I'm gonna do a really silly one right now. Deal with it, motherfuckers. This poem is about how I am the greatest dancer on the face of the earth. Which I clearly am. So as you all know, a machine harnesses energy to perform an activity, right? Well, my activity is dance, therefore I'm a dance machine. The single greatest dancer history has ever seen. Let me explain this. My special moves are just filler moves for my extra special moves. As you all know, a passable pale dancer is said to move like a black man trapped in a white man's body. Right? Well, it's true. Well, Chris Brown was said to move like a black man with me trapped in his body. Until that motherfucker laid hands on Rihanna. That was definitely his fault. Is just foreplay to dancing with me. James Brown was a chump. I'm the laziest man in show business because my dancing is effortless. I'm a $100 bill in a grab what you can carnival booth. I'm a dead lemur, batted about in an avalanche. I relax and give in to nature's fury, and then lie buried in my excellence. I won Dancing with the Stars simply by bending the littlest joint in my pinky twice. And when I bent it a third time, Kate Gosselin was re-impregnated. Mount Vesuvius erupted and Chuck Norris publicly questioned his sexuality. You want to see me dance? Good. You couldn't handle that shit. Your brain would swell with unprocessed information and ooze out your ears because when I but walk normally, Juilliard alumni hold seminars in my driveway. When I stand stock still, my heart leaps. My eyes churn wildly. Look deep into my pupils and you will see a million crickets fucking in midair. I started last year's LA Hillfires by crumping into Topanga Canyon. I killed John F. Kennedy with a straight elbow. I danced with reckless abandon. I once pot-locked so hard that I popped my shoulder right out of its socket and then popped it back in and then popped it back out and hopped over my arm like a jump rope. They call me Jackhammer George because you dig to China, but I jig to China because where there is injustice, where there is darkness, where there is despair, I dance, I dance, I dance. In our last session, my therapist told me I might get past my fears and neuroses by claiming my weaknesses as strengths. And since my only weakness is my lack of weakness, I ripped off my clothes and then blacked out or repressed the rest, but I imagine that I had my way with Dr. Lichter on the leather couch before putting on an old Chuck Berry record and whipping her wildly around the room like an angry tree. People always tell you that you'll never be number one, that there will always be some sexy motherfucker better than you. Well, if you fancy yourself a dancer, then as long as I live, they're right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Me, my favorite subject. I would like a volunteer from the audience. You will not have hands laid on you. You will not be... Any touch will be good touch, and I probably won't even do good touch. They have to raise their hands themselves. You, sir. Can you remind me your name one more time?
Kurt.
Kurt, would you mind sitting on a stool for a poem?
I will.
Kurt, how you doing, man?
Great.
I'm sorry that a round of uncomfortable laughter was generated after your bad news. That's because we're all awkward and we don't know how to respond to tragedy. We're going to do a poem together. And in this poem, we're going to talk about your hopes and dreams for the future. Who out there knows what they want to do and is passionate about what they're studying and excited to get into the wide world and do it? Who here has no fucking idea? Who here has sort of a fucking idea, but they're not really completely sure? It's scary, right? I graduated college a year ago, and you get the rug pulled out from under you. I mean, you're used to structure every fall and going back, and it's comforting and awesome, and then you don't have that anymore all of a sudden. And I graduated a year ago, and, you know, if I could go back to being a freshman again, I'd probably take it. But at some point, you have to thrust yourself into the world, and what Kurt, who will be playing the 6-year-old version of himself in this piece, can you do that? Awesome. What he will be doing is having a conversation with me. You can say as little or as much as you want, just about the specific career path that he's chosen. And Kurt's chosen one of the craziest, most ballerific, awesome, demanding careers out there. And I know a thing or two about this career, and so we're going to talk about it. But I'm scared for you, man, because it's just like one of those things that you choose, and people feel sorry for you going in because they know what a struggle it's going to be, you know? And I don't want to see you wind up with a broken heart. So you've got to be serious about this profession. Are you serious? Yeah? Kurt, if you want this, you realize you have to like work until your 6-year-old heart like literally explodes in your chest. Does that seem extreme? Then maybe you don't want it that enough. All right, you can't rest until you're so tired you want to melt right into the ground. Do you get it? No, I don't think you do. Kurt, if you want to grow up to be a robot, you cannot fuck around, okay? So you found a lucky penny and you think you're on your way to being a metal man. But this ain't no wishing well, Abe Lincoln. All right, it's your grandma's loose change jar and it's going to take you a lifetime to fill it. You've got to think like a robot. You've got to talk like a robot. Very good, very good. You've got to move. You've got to squawk. It's like, you have to rock like a robot. That's what I'm fucking talking about, bro. Earmuffs. Alright? You're 6, remember. This ain't no Jolly Wally Robo Magic Go-Go Gadget habit. It's lost weekends. Lost lovers. Lost hair. No offense. But if you search your core and you find you were cut from the right kind of sheet metal curtain, you better look me in the eye and tell me why you want this.
So I want to be badass.
Yes, you're gonna be fucking And I was like, badass is like incidental to the whole lifestyle. Look, I am talking never eating leftover split pea soup again because you've got all of your favorite meals loaded onto data cards and every time you want one, you just like wipe your memory. And it's like the first time. You can move chess pieces with your mind. You can microwave burritos with your behind. You can play Power Rangers the movie on your eyelids while you're falling asleep, which you don't even have to do because robots don't have motherfucking bedtime, son! You are a bulletproof cement mixer, Kurt! Kurt, you can unscrew your arm at parties and use it to tap jerks on the shoulder. You can soup yourself up with hydraulics and then bounce with cholos in the parking lot. If someone makes fun of you, it's cool because a robot doesn't cry, even though you can still feel deeply. You can do anything you want to do! You don't stub your toe on crab, crab stubs its toe on you! Have I made my point? Don't look at me like I'm crazy! Have I made my point? You are awfully abrupt and curt for a 6-year-old. Your name is Kurt, that's crazy. Look, when you want something so bad, you can crush it in that claw. You have to make a decision. Are you going to be CEO? You're going to see 3PO. Look, I know you. You are the kid who picked the silver and gold colored pencils first and rubbed them down to nubs before you reached for anything else. And I do not give a crap if you're still in first grade, Kurt. Because that is what separates you from the future firemen and astronauts of America. Well, today's career day, Scout. They're going to go around the circle in your first grade class and you will get asked last and they will laugh. But remember, you have 2 big brass lug nuts and a mug that's anything but cute. And if 3 times they tell you no, 3 times you tell them does not compute. And someday, you'll be data technology. And this is gonna sound awful, but first they'll use your butt as a fancy antique ashtray. And then when you get robot hiney cancer, they'll strip you for your parts limb from limb, but you have no mother to cry to because robots don't have mothers and your programmer died decades ago. But if you can live with that harsh reality, Kurt, the good times will be good and they will sustain you. Why should you listen to me anyway? I'm no Tin Man. I'm not even a bucket of rusty bolts. I'm just some tubby, dumb schlub flesh sack. Well, Kurt, all I can say is, there's a reason I wasn't calling the kettle black. It's because I'm calling the kettle cousin. Son of my auntie the oven. Telling the living who think they're above them to lick my non-stick metal crack. I can take a ton of trial, but I'll flip it to a final foul. Well, debated the way to convert it, did it with a smile. The body I've been hunting by has been modified to codify a sonata, sonata, or lestrada, or dada, yada, yada, yada. Got money, made a not a bad buddy, but delivered temptable pictures from the starter. Did you understand a word of that, Kurt? Let me tell you something about dreams, you 6-year-old motherfucker! This is not a choice. But if you're born with a control panel hardwired to your cranium, you sally forth for every starry-eyed nobody who followed the bright lights to Broadway. For every wolf that ever howled at the moon, you be the droid that fills the void. I can see the glint in your eye, little gearbox. We had a moment. I can see the sparkle in your chest plate. I won't touch it. They're nice. A- cups. Kurt, people are gonna call you crazy. A dreamer. Stanley Steamer. They'll say little boys growing up to be robots isn't proper. Well, you bite your tongue real hard and you remember white blood. There you go. Taste a little bit. Like copper. Give it up for Kurt, everybody. Robo Shake! Walk it out, Kurt. That's kind of not really the robot, but I give you points for gusto.